This is a video in a series of videos to help you memorize the Al-Kitab textbook vocabulary, which will help you prepare for your Arabic 131 course. And so today we will start Al-Mufradat للدروس Al-Kitab. We'll start with lesson 1. المفردات للدرس واحد. The first vocabulary word is al-adab. 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 Al-adab is the plural form of that. Al-adab. Al-adab. So literature and literatures. Remember, in Arabic, if we're talking about an abstract concept, something that's intangible, we always refer to it with the word the affixed as the prefix in front of it. So it's not adab, literature, or a literature. It is al-adab and al-adab. Now, you've seen the second word listed on this slide in the past as meaning correct. Sahih. Remember, this is our exhale H. It's a non-English H. It's not in the English language. It's a ha, a ha, a ha. It's a lot more throaty. It's a lot more of an exhale. And this word is sahih, 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 right? But this time we're giving it to you in the context of different meaning. So it can be used to mean really, 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 right? So sahih, sahih. And then the synonym for that is a phrase, wallah, wallah, or you might hear it as wallahi, wallahi, wa Allah, wa Allahi, wallahi. So that's really, really, like seriously, really, wallahi, wallahi, wallah, wallahi. So that's the synonym. Here's another one of your vocabulary words. Al-Umam al-Muttahida. Al-Umam al-Muttahida. Al-Umam al-Muttahida. That's the nations, the united ones. Remember, in Arabic, our nouns are followed by the adjectives that modify them, and they must agree, they must match in gender and in number when they're human, but um, the adjectives are singular feminine when they are plural non-human. And they also must, the noun and the adjective must match in definiteness, meaning they both have to have the word the affixed to them or something else that makes them definite, like a possessive pronoun suffix. So this is al-umam, the nations, al-muttahida, the united ones. And notice how nations is a non-human plural, so we use a singular feminine adjective. Here's your next vocabulary word. Ay, 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 ay. And this means which. Ay, ay sa'a, which hour. Ay, ay, ay ism, which name. Ay means which, right? Which. Ay. Here's your next one. Jinsiya, jinsiya, and the plural. Jinsiyat, 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 jinsiya. This is nationality and nationalities. Jinsiya, jinsiyat. Now here's your first vocabulary, your first verb conjugation for this lesson. And it is darasa, to study. Darasa, darasa, that's past tense. Also, it means to study. It means he studied, but we're going to focus on the present tense conjugation this time. Ana adrus. Ana adrus. That's I am studying or I study habitually. So either I'm studying right now or I study habitually. Ana adrus. What about anta? Anta tadrus, that's you masculine study. Anta tadrus. What about you feminine? You feminine study. Anti tadrusin. Anti tadrusin. Anti tadrusin. What about he studies? Hua or it. It could be it studies, it masculine studies. Remember, hua means it masculine or he. Hua yadrus. Hua yadrus. Hua yadrus. Or what about she studies? Hiya tadrus. Hiya tadrus. That's either she or it feminine studies. All right. What about we study? Nahnu nadrus. Nahnu nadrus. Nahnu nadrus. What about all of you study? Antum. Antum tadrusun. Antum tadrusun. Antum tadrusun. What about they study? Hum yadrusun. Hum yadrusun. Hum yadrusun. And remember, we can affix direct object pronoun suffixes to the end of these verbs to indicate who is the recipient of this action for a transitive verb. So you could say, I am studying or I study him. Adrusuhu, adrusuhu, adrusuhu. I am studying him or I am studying it, masculine, right? Because that suffix pronoun object, it also can mean it, masculine. And if you're studying something that's feminine, like al-handasa, engineering, you could say adrusuha, adrusuha, adrusuha. I am studying it. Adrusuhu, I'm sorry, adrusuha al-handasa. I am studying it, the engineering. Remember, in Arabic, we say the engineering. Adrusuha al-handasa. And then if we want to talk about just the subject, the idea, the noun that represents the concept of studying, we say adirasa, adirasa, adirasa jayida. Studying is good. Adirasa jayida. All right. Here's your next verb. I'm going to be a little quicker with this one. Ana askun. Ana askun. This is to reside. Sakana means both to reside and it also means he resided, but we're going to focus on the present tense. Ana askun. Ana askun. I reside or I live somewhere or I am residing, right? And you can use a preposition here. You could say ana askun fi, I live at or in a certain place, or you could use ma'a, which means with. Ana askun ma'a, I live with someone, I reside with someone. And then you can follow that up with the object of that preposition. So, what about you reside? Anta taskun. Anta taskun. Anta taskun fi Medina, New York. What about you feminine? Anti taskunin. Remember, with these present tense conjugations, we always have a prefix that affixes to the front of it, but only in the instance of a few of these, we also add a suffix. And so for anti, we do add a suffix. It's "-in" to the end of this. So we have a prefix and a suffix. Anti taskunin fi. You reside fi Medinat Dallas, right? What about, so anti taskunin fi. What about he resides? Huwa yaskun ma'i. He lives with me. Huwa yaskun ma'i. He lives with me. What about she? Hiya taskun ma'i. She lives with me. Hiya taskun ma'i. She lives with me. What about we? Well, could say nahnu naskun ma'an. Nahnu naskun ma'an. We live together. Nahnu naskun ma'an. We live together. What about you all? Antum taskunun fi wilayat Kansas. Antum taskunun fi wilayat Kansas. And then what about they reside? Hum yaskunun. Hum يسكنون. That is, they reside. And then we talked about that your um, previously, we talked about that your prepositions can have the direct object affixed as suffixes to the end of them. So you could say nahnu naskun fihi. So we live in it. If it's a masculine thing like a bait, a house, right? Nahnu naskun fihi al bait. We live in it, the house. Or, and we talked about you can add that direct object to the another type of preposition like ma'a. So nahnu naskun ma'aha. We live with her. And then the noun concept, the idea of the verb, we could say asakan, residing, living. Asakan jayid, residing is good. I know that's not a great sentence, but that's an example. All right, here's another vocabulary word. Sena, sena. Sena is a year. Sena in plural. Senawat, sena, senawat, sena, senawat, years. Sena, senawat. Omar, that's an age. Omar, Omar. It has an ayn and a dhamma over it. Omar, age. And the plural, Amar, 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 ages. Here's another vocabulary word or another verb for conjugation. Ana amal fi. I work at, or you could say ana amal ma'a. I work with someone, right? So ana amal is I work. Anta ta'amal is you work, masculine. Anti ta'amalin, you work, feminine. Anti ta'amalin, anta ta'amal. What about he works? Huwa ya'al. هو يعمل هو يعمل. What about she works? هي تعمل هي تعمل. Remember, this has an ayn in it. هي تعمل. What about we? نحن نعمل نحن نعمل. What about all of you? أنتم تعملون أنتم تعملون. What about they work? هم يعملون هم يعملون. And remember, we can say نحن نعمل فيه. We work in a مصنع, factory, or we work with her. نعمل معها. Or we can say العمل جيد, right? Working is good. Working is good. العمل 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 جيد. Working is good. Here's another of your vocab. Unwan. Unwan. It has an ein. It has an ein. Unwan is an address. What about plural? Anaween. 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 Unwan. Unwan. Anaween. Addresses and address. What about Egypt? Really, the vocabulary word here is Egyptian. Ana Misri, Ana Misri, Ana Misri. This is I'm Egyptian. Nahnu Misriyun. We are Egyptian. Nahnu Misriyun. Remember, Misr is Egypt, but we add a ya to the end of it to say Egyptian for a person or a thing. And then you can say you're a Cairoite or someone from Cairo. Ana Qahiri. Ana Qahiri. If you're a female, you could say أنا مصرية أنا مصرية. You add that مربوطة at the end, and if it's only a group of female Egyptians, you could say نحن مصريات نحن مصريات. And if it's a female Cairoite, someone from Cairo, أنا قاهرية. Here is our interrogative particle for the question word who, right? For the question particle or interrogative particle, who. It's man, man. Man means who. Man, man, man means who. Mintaqa is an area or a region or a borough. Mintaqa, mintaqa. And manatiq, manatiq, manatiq is the plural, areas or regions. Nafs, nafs as-shay, nafs means the same. Nafs as-shay, the same. Walid is dad, and walida